Activate.
Hey everybody, welcome to this Pink Cloud. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. Thank you for the beefy flatulence, Chad.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
Hey, brother.
But anyway, we are a show that is about multiple pathways to recovery, mental health, all that good stuff. Please be sure and like, subscribe, ring that bell, brother.
Smash that like button if you want to see my leg not be real.
Speaking of legs not being real, everybody, give it up for Chad LeMans.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey. I'm here. Hello. I sang that.
Nice.
Yeah, I recorded it like probably 2 minutes ago.
Oh.
I get inspired when I'm in the bathroom after I eat Dinty Moore.
Oh, no.
Yeah, man. There we go.
And I am excited to have these guys in. Actually, Mike Munzell, you have been on the show before.
I have.
And
yes.
as I refer to you, you are Andrew Carter's emotional support animal today.
I suppose I am. Yes.
And you actually have the beautiful grill, dude. Let's get a look at that,
I
dude.
do, yeah.
Nice, dude.
Got the Texas Star over there, you know.
Nice. You
Shout
got
out, Parker Mullins.
There we go. I think we're gonna have him on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So what's his business called?
D-Town Custom Jewelers.
Pew,
He's
pew, 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 pew,
got like
pew.
3 different Instagrams.
Yeah.
Bunch
Right.
of custom jewelry.
I love it.
Yeah.
He does dope shit.
But so we're excited to have this guy on, Mr. Andrew Carter. Everybody.
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Well, yeah, and we know that you are roomies with one Jeff Rigdon, so we apologize for that.
Yeah, I mean, we won't get into that. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
We
It's
love
a
Jeff.
process.
We love Jeff.
And
Yes,
we're
we love
doing
him.
it. No, we do. He's great.
My name's Jeff.
He is. My
name is Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
The live soundboard over
I got
here.
BDE. But yeah, man. So thanks for coming out, and why don't you give us a little bit of your backstory?
Man, where do we start? I mean, like using backstory or just?
Well, I mean, like maybe a little picture snapshot of the childhood growing up, and then.
Well, personally, I'd like
Yeah.
to hear like the first probably like 3-4 seconds of once you're out the womb.
Yeah.
Or out the
All right.
section,
Okay.
the C-section if it
Yeah,
was
I
one of
don't.
those.
I was a C-section, I think.
There you
I'm
go.
Sure, you'd have to ask my mom.
All right.
Okay.
But I don't really remember the first 3 to 4 seconds.
Well,
it's blurry.
I guess it's gonna be a
blurry.
bad show then.
Yeah. Man, I mean, whenever I tell my story, I speak in a lot of different places, and I always kind of like to start and talk about, like, man, I had a really normal childhood, right? There was some like family trauma and some bad stuff that happened when I was a kid.
Right.
But I mean, my parents are still married, right? Like, parents are still married.
Sure.
We had owned a home. I had a dog. I had a cat, like
Siblings?
the normal. So I didn't grow up with siblings. I have 2 brothers that I met as adults. They're both half brothers.
Gotcha.
Long lost brothers that I didn't know about.
Oh, wow.
We can get into that
Okay.
one. That's an interesting
Right.
interesting story. But yeah, man, I mean, like, everything was pretty normal, pretty normal. But I never really felt like I fit in anywhere. And I'm sure you hear people say that a lot. You interview a lot of people on here, but man, it's as cliche as it sounds. Like, it was like I didn't have the manual for life that everybody else
Well,
had,
I mean, I think it's just human nature that we all feel uncomfortable, and it's meant to be an experience, I guess, and then it's just learning to navigate that uncomfortability,
Yeah,
so to speak.
Kelly just made that word up.
Uncomfortability.
I think it's a word.
I think it is.
He said uncomfortable ability.
Oh,
dude.
uncomfortable. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely not.
that's
a word.
definitely 2 words.
That's
definitely
2 words.
2 words.
Your ability to be uncomfortable.
There you go.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Sounds more like a word now.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
Well, it's a couple words.
Yeah.
It's more than
Kind of like microagement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, microagement.
What is that?
Is that
like
Connie Lingus?
Have you ever watched The Office? What do you,
Yeah, I've seen
it's
that.
like live under a
Micro
rock.
form of
Yo,
management.
no,
Yeah.
dude. I was on.
What's it
I
called?
did a lot of drugs for a long time, dude, and I watched The Office a lot, but I don't remember exact words. But
Yeah.
all right, man.
Anyways, Yeah, I had a normal life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Connecticut. I'm not from Texas. I moved here.
Stanford?
Is that the only place you know in Connecticut?
No, actually, no, but that is the one spot that I spent time in.
Okay, so I grew up probably 40 minutes away from Stanford.
Isn't it all 40 minutes away from Stanford?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like,
it's a really, I
right.
mean, the entire state of Connecticut's about the size of the DFW area.
Right.
You can get, I mean, it's not very big.
Right.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town.
Uh-huh.
A town that had, I think, like more bars than stoplights. Quite
okay.
literally.
Right.
There was one stoplight in the entire town. And then there was the one that like flashed in front of the police station, or the fire station, in case like a fire truck needed to come out. But yeah, there's like 7 bars. And so that gives you kind of an idea of like the place that it was, right? Drinking was a huge part of the culture and like what it was like for me growing up. You know, I found it really easy to fit in as an alcoholic in my social circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except the difference was like when I kept going, everybody else would stop, right?
Yeah,
right.
And I surrounded myself with people that drank and used like I drank and used for a long time, and I think a lot of us do that. But when it came time to go to college. Right. Like everybody went to college and got good grades. I dropped out twice. You know? I don't even think I went to my first class. I didn't go to my first class.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was my situation. I was like, oh, nobody cares if you don't show up.
Yeah.
I'm like,
somebody cares.
Yeah, right.
Not me, though. Yeah.
Eventually.
I don't even have to hop the curb anymore.
Right, yeah.
I'll tell you this one. So my very first day of college at Central Connecticut State University, I was living. I grew up I lived like 20 minutes from the school, right? So I was going to commute, not live on campus to try and save money for like the first 2 years I was going, or that was the plan. And I left the morning of my first day of classes from my parents' house. I drove up there. I got there kind of early, like maybe an hour or two. And my buddy, who was a year older than me, Tony, was already, on campus.
Sure.
And he was like, hey, come hang out at my buddy's house. We'll smoke some weed, whatever.
Right.
Like
Good way to start the
great
college career.
And I mean, I'm like, I was the kind of kid, and I think you could probably relate to this, where someone gave me an Adderall prescription when I was in high school, and I immediately started taking way more than I was supposed to all the time.
Right.
And I didn't get it over the summer in between college, but I got my prescription back like right before school. So I took like 3 of my 1 day.
I am going to be on today.
I'm going to be on point.
I'm going to be able to read your mind.
You don't even have to teach this class. I already read all the fucking
I know
shit
everything.
today.
I'm omniscient.
I haven't eaten anything.
Right.
I haven't probably drank any water,
Okay. Right.
And I go and I like smoke a bunch of weed out of this like crazy 4-foot bong.
This bong, and the bong's name was Romulus.
Exactly. And I passed out.
Okay.
Like I took a rip and I stood up and like all the blood went on my head and I fell down. And I got up from this like stupor and I like look at the time and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be late for my first class.
Right.
So I like hightail it across campus. I run, I like get to the room and I like look at the time again and it's 2 minutes after class began. I can't go in there. They're going to know I'm high.
Right.
And then I just never went.
Right.
Yeah. So I enrolled in college. My parents paid for college, and I never went to a single class.
Yeah.
I just
Right.
would go to campus and get high.
I mean, it's a good spot to hang out.
Yeah,
dude.
it was fun.
Really.
And there was one
Yeah.
gas station on campus that would let you use your meal card to buy like cigarettes and booze.
Oh, there you go.
And they would just ring it up as like snacks and food.
Other.
Yeah, other. And so I just go to that gas station and spend the money my parents were giving me on you know, things that weren't food.
Right.
Dude, that's tight as fuck.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good hustle.
Close to be at.
Shout out mom and dad.
Right.
Thanks for all the cigs.
Shout out.
Thanks for all the things. Thanks for all the snacks.
Shout out other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what it always looked like, right? I could never stick to the plan. I always had a plan for how it was going to go, and you know, anytime I got any kind of drugs or booze in my system, it would always go not according to plan. Right? Like every time.
It would go a little sideways.
Yeah, sometimes it'd go according to plan, but then always it would end up not according to plan, whether it
Right.
was like handcuffs or, passed out in a ditch somewhere.
Right. Well, so you didn't make it to your first day in college, so I'm assuming you never graduated from college.
No, I
Right.
never graduated from college. In fact, my mom was so hell-bent on me going to college after the first fiasco that we did some research and figured out that if I went to the campus admissions office and said that I was withdrawing to go into the military, that they would give me a withdrawal for all of my first semester classes instead of an F or
Right.
and so that way I could go to another school.
And there was no intention
No,
of going to the
zero
military,
intention of
right.
going into the military.
Right.
And so I did that. Shout out military.
Right.
And
Thanks for the scapegoat.
Jamie, pull up the military.
Borrowed power.
Jamie, pull up scapegoat.
yeah. And so then I went to another community college with the intention of getting some credits that I could transfer to go back to a state school. And I think I maybe went to class for a week and just did the same thing.
Right.
Dropped out, didn't go. But still would tell everybody that I was going, and
Right.
really I'd just be in a trap house somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? Getting
Right.
loaded.
Taking bong rips.
Yeah. Well, at this point it was more than that, but
it
yeah.
had graduated.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What was the DOC? Everything more or what?
Mostly heroin.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there was a lot of other stuff that I preferred.
Right.
But heroin didn't really like for me to do anything else but heroin.
Yeah,
It's
right.
an expensive habit.
Sure.
And it's the only I could be dope sick and go buy whatever else, and nothing but heroin was going to fix the way I was feeling.
Right.
So, I didn't really have.
Well, except speedballs, right, Chad?
Well, speedballs are heroin.
Yeah.
But
Kelly doesn't know what a speedball is.
Nothing but heroin fixes it
Right.
except something else and heroin.
Yeah. Dude.
Or enough Xanax to where you don't remember anything.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
enough
Now
booze to where
benzos,
you pass out.
benzos you can pass out. Booze, if you get lucky and you don't throw it all up before you're too sick, then you can walk around drunk for a little while
Yep.
while
Right.
you go get heroin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The Xanax for the withdrawals is if a tree fell in the woods and I don't remember anything. Did a tree really fall?
Yeah. So, that was kind of, at this point, I'm I've dropped out. I've gotten a job. I'm doing a bunch of heroin, and
Right.
opiates.
What was the
mostly
job?
heroin. So I worked for this company as a concrete pump operator.
Okay.
If you don't know what that is, you could look it up. If you ever wondered how concrete gets from the ground up into a skyrise, they pump the liquid concrete through a pipe system.
All right.
So I operated cranes and stuff while I was under the influence of heavy narcotics.
I'm
the
Jamie,
time.
pull up
not-
OSHA regulations.
Yeah.
I'm nodding off on heroin,
Right.
and operating a 20,000 ton crane.
Yeah. I won't say the name of the company that I
Yeah.
worked for because I don't want to incriminate anybody. Yeah, it was a mess, right?
Right. Was there any workman's comp related incidences?
No, I actually made it, through unscathed
Right.
most of the
Right.
time. Yeah, I
Except for that one building that was 10 stories too tall.
Right.
yeah.
We call that the Adderall building.
The
Just
Adderall.
fell asleep and kept pumping concrete.
It just built itself. You guys are going to have to pay us for this. I know you said 67 stories, but we went ahead and did 80 for you just out of the kindness of our heart.
Just because we felt nice. Yeah. It was, it was a pretty lucrative job, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm living at home with my parents. It was 2013-ish, and so money went a lot further back then than it does now.
Right.
I was living with my parents, had no real bills or responsibilities, and I was making $50,000+ a year.
Oh, yeah,
and,
dude.
that was, plenty.
You're high cotton,
Oh
brother.
yeah, dude, I'm doing heroin all
Right.
the time.
High cotton, literally.
I'm doing heroin and I'm eating out.
Yeah,
And I have gas, dude.
Yeah, for in the beginning, and then heroin gets really expensive. And
Yeah.
then, and then you don't want to eat.
Yeah. Why would I eat when I could just spend my money on heroin?
Yeah, me and Mike the other day were talking about what was our like heroin food?
Oh, dude.
Some more heroin,
and
dude.
You're but there's like one thing that you all like because you got to sustain life
right.
somehow.
Yeah, dude.
So there was an extended period of time, probably like 6 to 8 months, where I didn't eat anything but Rice Krispie treats and bottled Pepsi that I stole from the gas station down the street.
Nice,
Like
dude.
that was all Pepsis and Rice Krispie treats.
There you go.
Slim
What
Jims
was-
and milk over here.
Yeah, so, and milk,
I'd
dude.
walk into the gas
Nothing
station.
like beef and milk.
Dude, I'd walk into the gas station in those big long Slim Jims. I'd grab a handful of them and like stick them in the sleeve
your
of my
sleeve?
Carhartt. Yeah,
Yeah.
grab a fucking half gallon of milk, tuck it inside, and walk right out. Thanks.
Oh,
Changed
yeah.
my mind.
Nice.
I think mine at the end was it was just a gallon of Bluebell ice cream that
Hell
I would
yeah.
fall asleep with it in my lap, and then I would.
Just
By the time I
melt all
woke
over
up,
you.
I would drink it. You know what I mean? And then I wouldn't eat shit for like 4 days.
Yeah.
Well, but Chad, it was so funny because I knew him during his addiction. He would be like, "Look, I'm so skinny now." You know, he'd have all these like, "I'm so healthy." And you were taking like all these vanity shots, and look how much I haven't been this skinny since high school.
Yeah.
Drinking a gallon of ice
It's
cream
like-
a day.
Yeah, dude. I'd put a fucking picture on Facebook, I
Yeah.
think, of like the scale saying 187. I was like, I'm so proud of myself. I haven't weighed this since high school. This has really been a badass weight loss journey.
Yeah.
By the way, I would recommend heroin and speed or a speedball too.
Yeah, dude.
If you scroll back far enough on my Instagram, there's one of those shots too.
Yeah, dude.
50 pounds down, almost at my goal. Yeah. Dude, I had a friend. She doesn't live in Texas anymore, but she was working at this place, and she had relapsed, and she's doing heroin all the time, right? And all the girls that she works with are like, how are you getting so skinny? Like, what's going on? And she's like, because every day at work, they would all go out to lunch together, and she'd be like, oh, I'm going to go like somewhere else where no one would want to go. So she'd be like, I'm going to go
The
to
back
pizza,
seat of my car
get
is-
pizza,
Right.
you know, or something. So all
Right.
these like, you know, Highland Park women
Right.
that she works with, like, yeah, we're going to go get salads.
Right.
Like, no, like, how do you stay skinny and you eat pizza every day? Like, what's going on? You're eating Jimmy John's sandwiches. Like, what? And she was like, intermittent fasting. And so all the women at her work started intermittent fasting, and they're all coming up to her like, oh my God, we're losing all this weight. Thanks so much for putting us on. And like the whole time she's just been doing heroin and not eating.
Right.
Going scoring on her lunch break, meeting the guy at the Jimmy John's.
Nice. So anyway, so you're, you know,
Yeah.
back to your
Back to my story, right? So, you know, I'm like doing construction, doing a bunch of drugs.
Right.
It's, you know, semi-manageable.
Right, and this is like
for-
2013
yeah,
ish. You said
2014,
Okay.
something like that. My sobriety date's April.
how old are you, by the way?
I'm 30.
So what does that make you?
I was
in?
in 20. I was like 19 or 20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So still reasonable to live at your parents' house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so then I got kicked out,
Uh-huh.
right? My parents found like a bunch of heroin paraphernalia in the house, and they
Right.
were like, first I was like, well, I did it a couple times.
I
just
was my
didn't wanna-"
friends.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
my
here.
treatment
While we're
intake
talking
photo.
about
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
nice
Yeah,
and
here.
healthy here, I don't know
Yeah.
if you can put it up or if
Your
you can
hair,
see it there.
your
There you
heroin
go.
picture.
Yeah, that was my treatment intake photo. So
Oh,
he worked
nice.
at the treatment center that I was at.
Yeah.
Chat-
and so-
oh, did you really?
yeah, not when I was there, but later on,
After,
and we
yeah.
dug up out of, you know, found
Dude,
my
Chad's got the greatest mug shot ever of
Yeah.
him. Just like he's got like it's straggly like hair of straw. And
You can
just,
grow hair?
Like,
Yeah.
and
Oh, dude. Yeah. I had to cut it because I'll tell you what, doing this podcast, and we used to have a sky cam. Notice we don't have a sky cam anymore. I was like, I'm not fucking fooling anybody, dude. You know what I mean? So I was like, only way to beat male pattern baldness is to beat it at its own goddamn
it
game
off.
and eat a goddamn can of Denty Moore
That's
stew.
right. That's
Hold on.
right.
I didn't have it pulled up. Let's do that one more
Hey,
time.
hey, real quick. Well, let's go ahead and throw to commercial.
Okay.
How about that? We've got
about
old
that?
we've got old Max the Axe from
All right, man.
Lone Star Injury Attorneys.
Yeah, man.
If you go to thispinklawyer.com, it will take you to Lone Star Injury Attorneys. Send them an email.
Assuming the internet's up, it'll take you there.
Yeah, exactly.
Assuming their website's up,
Right.
it'll take you there.
And he actually practices in Texas and California. So if you have any personal injury needs, hit him up, and he will get you maximum results.
Yeah, because his name's Maxi X.
That's
and that was
right.
a good name. I said it, not Kelly. And everybody should just call him. Because he's a nice guy. So just everybody just blow up Max.
Yeah.
Find his phone number,
Hit
call his
him up,
office.
say what's
Just hit him
up.
up.
Hey,
Hey,
hey.
hey, man.
Yeah,
Chad,
man's doing
Chad
okay.
and Kelly said it. Well, no, don't say Chad said, but say Kelly said to just call him.
That's right,
He
dude.
said, hey, what you doing, man?
Yeah.
I don't know
How-
you, but hey, man, what are you doing?
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going,
Hey,
man?
hey,
I heard
bro.
you
Not
guys
bad.
know.
That'll be
Hey.
$1,000.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
How's it going?
Hey, brother, I just
Hey,
want to let
man.
you know,
How
man.
you?
You're welcome.
You doing okay,
hey, man,
brother?
you were doing all
You
right?
doing okay?
Hey, man, I just want to let you know you're welcome.
Anyway, and then we also have some new music out. I know
Maybe
we've
not.
got the old Kendrick Lamar, which is a free download.
Kenny Lama.
Yeah.
I'm real. Take off the shirt milk, take off the Dolce, take off the Birkin bag. Take all that designer bullshit off, and what do you have?
Word in a panic, the women is stranded, the men on the run, the men on the run. The law take advantage, the market is crashing, the industry wants. Sleep in the box, but they making a mockery, following us. Watching for love, y'all getting fucked, 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 y'all getting fucked.
All right, and that is actually Open Up, new track by Chad.
Open
and
up a can of Denty Moore.
That's right, and don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
I did that the whole time Chad and I were making that song in the studio. I would go up to him and go, "Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Don't be scared."
I love that.
But anyway, so that's streaming on all major platforms. If you want the Kendrick Lamar remix, you can go to Spotify.
Oh, SoundCloud.
Yeah, SoundCloud.
Sorry, Kelly's old.
Whoops, I'm old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so soundcloud.com/Kelly Reverb. All this stuff is actually in my link tree.
Yeah.
And you can download that plus many more.
Yeah,
right,
there's
Chad?
like Bjork, there's Depeche Mode. We're working on
Arcade
it. Currently
Fire.
working
Yeah,
on a
there is Arcade
There's
Fire.
Arcade Fire, there's Depeche Mode with
Is
the
that
beeps
the
and
one-
the boops.
All right.
And then there is going to be a Madonna remix because
Oh.
I knew if there's two things I can take a second to talk about real quick. One of my favorite things in the entire United world, oh fuck, is Madonna. Oh my god, I love Madonna so much. My second favorite thing, and it's just because she's the best artist in the entire United world, but my second favorite thing is Tom Sam, because I would love to walk around Tom Sam just listening to Madonna and getting all my nutritional needs met so I can get my Denty Moore stew.
and
I
that will,
was a little better than the last one.
and that will all be edited out.
No, it won't. No, it won't.
Walk around Tom Thumb listening to Madonna,
All
collecting
right.
Slim Jims and milk.
There you go.
Don't forget about
And
the
Blue
Pepsi
Bell.
and Rice Krispie treats.
Pepsi,
And
Rice
Bluebell
Krispie
ice
treats,
cream.
and Bluebell ice cream.
That's
dude.
funny, man. That's yeah. I would never, because that wasn't my DOC. So I'm like, yeah, I guess you have to have something that as
Yeah.
your go-to.
Something garbage. It can't be good either. It's gotta
Right.
be
Yeah.
garbage.
I
And
just
I'm-
ate salads the entire time.
Yeah, you're not
Have you-
eating
have you ever
salad and
seen
then
that-
shooting
have you-
up with fucking street
Have you
water.
ever seen that movie? What was it? Permanent Midnight. It was okay. So it's about this guy. He's a writer, and it's Ben Stiller actually,
Okay.
and it's like a dark comedy. But he is supposedly, allegedly, the writer, the creator for Alf. You remember but he's a heroin addict, but he's an LA like health nut heroin addict.
of course.
Yeah. So it's a great.
That makes
It's a
perfect
great
sense.
movie.
You can do
Great
anything
movie.
with enough money.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here thinking that we need to have like a DOC snacks potluck. Where like, you can't drink it if you didn't eat it when you were like high as shit.
All right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I had a go to when I was drinking because you had to leave enough room for
yeah.
alcohol, and you didn't want to eat anything of substance to soak up the alcohol. Of
course
What's
What
the
was
point?
it? You can't just say that you had one and then not say what it was.
No, it, probably
Don't be that
People
guy.
want to know.
no. It was. I mean, it was something like shitty. Like.
So you didn't have one.
Well, no. I mean, I had several. I had
He just
several.
lied, dude. He
I
just lied on his own show, dude.
I just wanted to be one of the guys.
It's
I
okay,
just wanted to
It's
be
a hey,
cool.
brother. It's okay,
Yeah,
man.
I'll think about it.
You're my little guy.
I'll think about
my
it.
little
I'll
guy.
think about it like 15 minutes later and bring
You're
it
my
up.
little
Yeah.
reverb.
That's right. So anyway, so
Uh,
now that I've lied on the show,
Now that you've
alcoholic
lied and
snack
nobody
is just the
trusts you.
celery
Right.
from the pudding.
nobody
That's why
trusts
everybody
me.
hates you, you alcoholic.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like what alcoholics do, right? It's just
Yeah.
like lie.
What?
You guys are like really bad people.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's what cocaine hits, dude. That's what meth people do.
Well, yeah.
Meth people fucking
Meth
lie.
people are the worst, dude.
Oh, but
Just
hold
do
on.
heroin.
Oh, yeah, but well, hold on. Let's just go around the room with the lies on heroin, dude. Chad would be at the Chad was at. We were working at the same spot at the same bar, and like all of a sudden, Chad disappears for like 3 weeks, and Chad's a badass sound guy, and like the
Shout out
sound.
Chad. Jamie,
shout
pull
out
up Chad.
But he's a badass sound guy, and I'm like, okay, the sound sounded the best when Chad's here. I'm like, oh, whatever happened to Chad? He goes, oh yeah, well we somebody found him with the said he had a needle in the bathroom, and then I ended up getting a hold of him, and he was like, that guy's fucking full of shit. Yeah. But yeah, you were just like, I was like, oh, well,
That's probably that guy. It wasn't me. It was the guy who found it. That was his needle, not mine.
Yeah,
He's trying to cover his
exactly.
ass.
Speaking
Put
of
it in me.
lying. But anyway, so.
Yeah, so I mean, like right around, my parents kicked me out, right? They found paraphernalia, different things. I think actually the first thing they found was Suboxone strips that I had
So
acquired.
you were hitting Suboxone
No.
prior to.
Well, yeah, just like sometimes if you,
The
you needed
holdover,
it,
yeah.
sometimes I
Right.
would keep one on deck just in case.
Smart.
And
That's
then
actually-
that was the
that's
same one
actually
you had
smart.
on deck
Right.
for years.
Yeah.
Hitter, you know.
And so they found it, and I was like, yo, no, I was using the Suboxone to get off. I'm already off.
Right.
And so they let me stay for a little while longer. And then I don't know how much longer how much later they found, more
Right.
paraphernalia, empty bags, all the stuff. And
Right.
I think they did probably the best and hardest thing that they could have ever done. They went and contacted, I don't know if it was someone in like an Al-Anon kind of program
okay.
or someone who knew about addiction, alcoholism, and whoever that person was, shout out to whoever it was, told them that they just needed to let me go.
Yeah.
Right? That there was like nothing they could do to help me. If they kept trying to force me to do better, that I was gonna, throw it back in their face,
Right.
and it was just gonna hurt
Well,
me.
and that's an important thing that I point out, because you can't make somebody want it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
you
they have to
can't.
want it for themselves. Yeah.
They got to learn the lessons, man, the
Yeah.
hard way. That's what my
Yeah.
parents did. They started doing FA stuff, and then that's when the
hammer
Iron
came
Curtain
down.
came
Yeah,
down,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That's when the
Right.
Stalingrad shit happened,
Yeah,
dude.
and that's exactly what happened with me. They said you can either go to treatment or you can get out, and there's no arguing, there's no saying that you got off or what, like that's old stuff.
By the way, it was 7-Eleven chili cheese hot dogs.
Oh,
By the way, that was my go-to.
That's
There you go.
not a
Sober
bad one.
snack.
Eat that now. What are you trying to say?
Right?
And so they kicked me out, and they just let me run, and I don't know how I bounced around. I got an apartment. I was living, in total disrepair in the hood,
Were you homeless or
So I
at least couch surfing?
I lived in my car and couch surfed
Okay.
for I had been homeless before that. Before I even started doing heroin, my parents kicked me out once for a while, and I was just parking my car in Walmart parking lots or under bridges. So I
Which
could
you
roll the
can't do
window
anymore,
down.
apparently.
Really?
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that anymore.
Oh,
Have you tried?
No, somebody told me that the other day, though.
huh. Good to know.
All right. Well,
Shout out Walmart.
Shout out
That used to
Walmart.
be like the trick. I mean, if you were like cross country camping in an RV, is you would park in a Walmart.
Is
Yeah,
that
I
still
think
allowed?
I think you can do it in an RV, but in a personal car you can't do it. I think that's
So-
how they fucking.
So if
skirt
you're
that.
going to be a heroin addict, then make sure you have an
Get
RV.
an RV.
yeah.
An RV and make it your own damn self.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Jamie, pull up RV laws in Walmart.
Yeah, and so they kicked me out, and I ran around. I was homeless for a little while here and there. You know, I was living in this apartment, and I mean, it was a bad scene. You know, I ended up getting kicked out of there. I think that was probably
Was the apartment actually a hotel?
no. It was in the hood. I had like convinced this like slumlord guy to like let me move into this like unit in a duplex.
Right.
And I mean, it was bad. It was actually a 3-family house, and there was this girl that lived upstairs from me, and one day she like came down and was trying to get heroin from me. I wouldn't give it to her because it's like, it's got fentanyl in it. You've never done it before. You
Right.
probably
It will
overdose.
kill you, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I'm high on crack. I need to come down. Like, it's bad. And I finally caved, and I gave it to her. She overdosed and was like unresponsive and for like 5 minutes before the ambulance got there, and she like threw up in my mouth while I was giving her rescue breath. I mean, it was gnarly.
Wow.
And I got thrown out of there, obviously.
Sure.
And then after that, I moved into this like garage place that used to be like it was in like an industrial park that had kind of been turned into an apartment.
Okay.
And I mean, like the last like days before I got sober, before I like checked myself in somewhere, I would try to like, I was talking to someone about this the other day, like painting the picture, right? I live in this garage that's been kind of converted into an apartment. My room doesn't have a door on it, right? There's a blanket nailed up over the door. The water's turned off. I haven't showered in, I mean, I don't know how long. There's the heat's turned off. The only thing that's still there is electricity because that was like included in the rent. I'm facing eviction for not paying the rent.
Right.
I got like 6 space heaters in my room with the blanket over the door.
Hell
it's in
yeah.
Connecticut. It's in the middle of the winter.
Right,
It's like
yeah.
February. I got sober in April. April 10th is my date. And so it's like, you know, it's cold,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm like huddled up in this room. There's like clothes all over the floor. There's cigarette holes in my mattress. Like it was a rough spot.
Right. And you said no running water.
No,
so
yeah,
then
there might have been running water, but there was no heat or there's no hot water.
Right.
The gas was off, so I didn't have hot water.
So
but I
at
had
least you
running
got
water.
to got to flush.
Yeah, I got to flush.
least you got to drink
Well, the
fluoride.
toilet was like plugged. And I
Oh.
couldn't get it unplugged, so there wasn't much flushing going on. Yeah, there was like,
Right.
I mean,
There was a collection.
yeah, but when you're on heroin, you don't need to use the
yeah,
toilet that
well,
Shitty 4
frequently.
months. I don't give a fuck about that toilet.
You're like,
Just let it all mellow.
right.
Yeah.
They call me Mellow Yellow.
Yeah, and I remember being in that room, right? And it's like so dingy and so bad, and the only thing that's making it passable is that I'm like just staying high all the time,
Yeah.
like
Right.
as high as possible, where like I'm not thinking about it. And I got this TV that I've like pawned and got back from the pawn shop a bunch of times, and I'm like stealing my neighbor's Wi-Fi with the smart TV, and just like watching The Walking Dead. This is at the time when The
Right.
Walking Dead was still popular. And I remember my dad called me to like discuss the newest episode, you know, of The Walking Dead or like what
Right.
had ever happened. And I was talking to him and I like get off the phone. And after like, you know, you're talking to your parents, it's kind of like this window back into a time that wasn't so bad. You know, like I feel comforted and I feel like everything's okay. And then I hang up the phone and kind of like look around my surroundings.
Right.
And I just remember feeling like, what an absolute disappointment I must be to everybody that's ever cared about me.
Right.
You know?
Why would you think that?
And I remember I cut some dope up and I got high, and for the first time, like the dope didn't make me feel better anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it had ran its course. It was no longer taking away the pain that this situation had put me in, and I mean, shortly after that, I like decided that it was time to change. I called my girlfriend. I was like, we need to get sober.
So you still had a girlfriend this whole time?
Yeah, but she was a wicked junkie too.
Well, why weren't y'all cohabitating?
Because her parents were still letting her live.
Oh,
with her.
so she still had she still had hot showers.
Yeah, she still had hot showers. Sometimes I could hot shower at her house, which was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I was like, we gotta do something different. She was like, we could do it on our. I'm like, dude, we've been trying.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
like I've been trying. Like, I've exhausted all the options, and so I went. I finally get kicked out of the apartment, you know, and I call my parents, and I'm like, hey, I need to go somewhere, you know, like I need to get into a facility. And I remember I called a late night hotline for American Addiction Centers.
Right.
And
Shout out.
yeah, shout out AAC. And you know, someone picked up the phone and like, we could buy you a plane ticket tomorrow.
Right.
Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
Like, fucking, all right. You know, I knew that I needed to go somewhere. Right.
Right.
I had been trying to do it on my own for a while, you know? So they bought me a plane ticket. Y'all saw the picture. That was what I looked like in the airport. You know,
yeah.
like it was rough. The
pinnacle of health.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah. And I showed up to this treatment center and man, I didn't have any idea like what I was getting myself into here. You know,
right.
like that was going to be the moment of change that would lead to like, I mean, my life is really badass today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
I have an incredible life.
Well, I think everybody can attest to that, you know, and we're not like some bunch of lame people. It's just we don't use substance anymore, and I mean, life is great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think.
Life's super tight.
Right.
Yeah, but you know the
all the Slim Jims and milk. I
all
want.
the Slim Jims, all the Pepsi
have
and
to
Rice
take
Krispie treats. Yeah, I have money to buy Rice Krispie treats now. It's pretty wild.
I can actually make Rice Krispie treats now.
I
Yeah.
have enough. I don't even
gas is
want
on.
Rice Krispie treats anymore. You know, like, I'm so. I had enough money to buy enough Rice Krispie treats that I'm sick of them now.
Right.
I don't even eat them anymore. No, but yeah, I mean, it's cool that Mike's here. Like, I was at this treatment center, and like Mike and these other,
Mike's buying stock on the phone right now.
these other,
Mike's trading crypto right now.
Alexa, fart for me.
there was a young, like a crew of like these young kids that were in a 12-step fellowship, you know?
Sure.
And Mike was one of them, and this other dude, Justin, and Emily, and Adam, and like all these people that ended up all becoming like my best friends.
Sure.
Chris, and they would all come and carry a meeting into this treatment
Right.
center. You know what I mean? And they like showed me like what it meant to be a drug addict. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like they put the cycle up on the whiteboard and like let me fill in the blanks and like showed me that there was like a way out, right? Because like when I
Right.
got here, I was like, I can't do drugs anymore. I got to be sober. Like my
Right.
life's gonna be so boring.
Did you do the old pros and cons list?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever did a pros
That
and
one,
cons
that one
list.
always gets me, and that's always kind of like recovery 101 is like, I just say, hey man, have them do a pros and cons list.
Yeah.
And then, because I mean, the pros are like 2 or 3,
Yeah.
which are basically partying and fun and
Yeah, yeah,
partying
yeah.
and fun.
Yeah.
And it's like somewhere oscillating between those two. And then the cons, you're like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to make
There's
a,
a
yeah,
ton
maybe
of
I need to
Nobody
make a
loves
change.
I just text you his picture. Send it over to Z's thingy so I can put it on the screen.
Yeah, I will. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. And they like showed me how to. These guys, like they just showed me there was a way out. You know, they showed me that life wasn't going to be boring. There was fun, like fun to be had. These were like kids my age that were sober and.
Well, and you have to mention fucking right away with the big vape.
Oh
up
yeah,
on the desk.
yeah. Mike drives like a 5-speed red Civic. Like a total douchebag, and he has this like big. This was back in the days when like vaping was super cool. I don't know if it was ever cool, but we thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And he had this like big 3-battery vape mod. You know?
Well,
And,
no,
like,
it looks like a robot dick.
yeah. And like one of my
I thought I would
friends,
call them like robot dicks.
one of my friends owned a vape shop, so I was like kind of like into the vaping scene.
You're in the
That's-
vaping.
Yeah, there's a vaping
No, the
scene.
vaping culture.
Yeah, it was a culture. It really was. And
And we got his picture up on the screen right now. That's directly covering his face.
yeah.
So that's perfect.
Yeah. And I saw Mike had this, and I'm like, so what's up, man? Is that authentic? Or because people used to like make clones of these vapes. I was like, is that a clone or is that a real one? You know, like because they asked, like, does anybody have any questions? And like no one said anything. And I was like, does it have to be about recovery? They're like, no, I guess not. And I was like, what's up, dude? Is that a real vape you got there?
I'm like, of course it is.
Of course it is, dude. And we've been best friends ever since. You know what I mean?
dude, I gravitated towards Mike because his vape game was so strong.
Dude, chucking huge clouds out of the side window of the Civic. You know, the 2-door Civic.
was the light.
Dude, I'd never seen anybody that could rip a vape harder than that guy.
I knew that day that I was gonna stay sober. You know, that there was hope for me.
You should have seen the fucking clouds he was blowing.
Dude, I wish I had that one
sober.
pic. I wish I had that one pic that Steph took from the back of the Civic, just me and you
I do.
fucking rocking. You do.
Yeah,
you do.
yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta send it to
Yeah.
him so you can fucking put it up here.
Oh, that's funny. But so then you like how long ago was that? You said like
So 2016, April
Okay.
10th, 2016 is my sober date.
And have you had any almost slips or like any kind of stumbling blocks along the way?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I haven't ever.
I always say sober life's not perfect.
No,
but, you know.
man. I mean, I'll say this. There's been times where my life was really bad. Right?
Okay.
Like it has not been rainbows and unicorns.
Right.
I think my worst sober week to date was, I don't know, I had a bad one pretty recently, but I think my worst sober week was I found out that the girl that I had been dating, who I was like really in love with, I'd give her a shout out, but I don't want to throw her in the bus.
Sure.
Fuck
was
it, dude. First name.
Nah. She was cheating on me. I found out that she was cheating on me, and then 3 days later, I got diagnosed with cancer, and it was the week of my birthday.
Oh, nice.
So it was like a rad week, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Shout out cancer.
Right. Holler.
Pretty gnarly neck.
Yeah.
scar.
So
Yeah,
what?
man.
What type of cancer did you get
I had
diagnosed with?
papillary thyroid carcinoma, which is
Okay.
probably the like if you know
You
if you're
don't
gonna have
want it.
no it's
Yeah.
the one you want.
Oh, it's the one you want. Okay.
I got super fortunate.
Well, because I
Hey,
know when
just
you
to
get
clarify
like,
for all the audience, nobody wants that.
No,
That's
Right.
like,
But if you had
but
to
if
pick
you
one,
had to go
Yeah,
shopping
they're like,
for cancer,
you're gonna get cancer,
Yeah.
and you have to pick one. This is
That's
probably the one
probably
you
the
would
one.
take.
They
Yeah.
found the cure for that one.
right? Or
yeah.
maybe like a light case of skin cancer.
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah.
that, like a little melanoma that you can
just a little,
remove.
just a little melanoma.
yeah, welcome to the Pink Cloud, where we fucking just minimize cancer.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
Well,
I mean,
but I mean that can actually mess with your glands and
yeah.
your,
So
your
I don't have a thyroid
Yeah.
anymore.
So
I take
yeah.
I have to take like.
I take
thyroid
I take
medication every
estrogen
day.
right now.
Yeah. I take levothyroxine, which is
Okay.
like the thyroid hormone.
And what does the thyroid actually do?
Everything.
Okay.
It's like the building block of your pituitary gland
Right.
and your thyroid produce the hormones that regulate all of your bodily functions. The thyroid is specifically like heavily tied to metabolism and but also like heart rate and like, you know, pretty much the
Yeah.
movement of your body.
Sure.
Right? And so I
How long have you been in remission?
so this
I
was
guess,
in
so to speak?
2018.
Okay.
So I had like a year and a half sober when it happened. I got my first like clean bill of health in January of
Right.
2019.
Okay.
I think
Congratulations.
something like that. Thank you. And yeah, so it's been a while. You know what I mean? It's been a while.
Well, it's crazy because, like, you know, when you get sober, there's still other things. You know, I had to deal with the loss of my mother,
Yeah.
and actually my stepdad within, you know, less than a year.
Yeah.
Both of them passed away. So it's no like you said, it's not unicorns and
No,
rainbows.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's been all sorts of bad things. Like one of mine and Mike's really good friends. He's someone that, I mean, he was like one of my closest friends. Shout out Ryan.
Talking about
He,
Rogers?
No, him too. But
yeah,
yeah,
shout out
I mean,
Ryan Rogers.
Shout out Ryan Rogers and Ryan Sandman. So yeah, I mean, like he had relapsed, started drinking
Yeah.
again. I convinced him to go to detox. He went to detox for like 5 days. He had only been drinking for 3 days. Picked him up from detox, brought him home. Found him dead the next day, in his apartment.
That's what sucks about being in recovery, because you're close to the edge, all the time. I mean, it was just like a normal thing. Oh, so and so passed away.
What is old Greg say?
And this is as close as you can get to Bailey's without getting your ass wet.
Yeah. And like, it's so funny if someone who wasn't like us heard us like talk about our friends dying and then making an old Greg reference right after, they'd be like, this is inappropriate.
Right.
They'd be like, what you doing in my waters?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, hey, it's like how we deal with it. It's something that we have to deal with. I mean, there was I remember back in like 2019, me and my buddy Daniel sat down and like counted how many people we knew that had died in 1 year.
Right.
And it was like 37.
Oh, wow.
There was like I remember a 1 week period where 4 people that we knew died.
Wow. Yeah. And I mean, it's scary. A lot of it's fentanyl related, because, people think, oh, I've got my stamina built up, I can at least handle this. And it's just like,
It's the exact opposite.
Not so much.
And they're putting fentanyl in everything these
Yeah,
days.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I at
Even
least
vapes.
I know,
Even
I at
vapes.
least understand the heroin, but I hear about people like getting fentanyl-laced cocaine.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even close to the same thing.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
man.
Well, a lot of it, dude, is like they're not chemists that are fucking doing this shit,
Yeah.
and they're cutting it
Yeah.
up on the same table, and even like residue can kill somebody if they're opiate naive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just used that word.
Yeah, I think you just made that
just
up.
made up a new phrase.
No, opiate naive is a thing, dude.
Is
it?
Yeah.
Is
Don't
it like
play with
heroin chic?
That's what Chad was.
It's very avant-garde of you to say that.
Chad was heroin chic at one point. But so, yeah. What
Tell
else
us
we
about how
got?
cool your fucking life is now, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us some hope, dude.
Yeah,
Give us,
I mean, so like I what worked for me, and I know this is like not what works for everybody, but I'm a member of 12-Step Fellowship.
Okay.
I firmly am grounded in the fact that like doing the 12 steps with the intention of growing a relationship with a higher power has been like the only thing that's been able to keep me sane and sober.
Right.
And sane around the idea of like whether or not I'm going to pick up another one.
Right.
And like that's just what worked for me. And I know it's been an incredible ride. I've got to do all sorts of really cool stuff as a result of that, and just as a result of being sober. I mean, like,
well, let's hear some of the positive, dude. Like, what's some of the good stuff?
Helped. So I have a really cool job. I work with some of my best friends, me, Mike, and we work for a company that's owned by our good buddy Justin, who was my roommate in sober living back in 2016.
All right.
I work.
Do you want to shout out the company?
Yeah, shout out Gray Fox Design and Build.
Fear.
There we go.
Also, shout out Underdog Fabrication.
Yeah, shout out
dude.
Underdog Fabrication.
All right.
So these are like the two things that we do. Do a lot of interior and exterior remodeling. A lot of we just had a big hailstorm, so right now we're doing a lot of like roof gutter side and stuff like that. But we also do a lot of, like full actual interior remodeling. A lot of the stuff we do is like insurance based. So if you have a pipe burst in your house and your whole shit's trashed, we'll fix your house. And then, Underdog Fabrication, we do all sorts of really cool, like landscape design, metalwork, furniture.
Hell yeah.
Custom stuff.
All right.
Check it out on Instagram, Underdog Fabrication.
Cool.
Gray Fox Design and Build, both of us on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, we just get to like work with my best friends. You know what I mean? Get to like.
And now are both of your parents with you?
Yeah, both of my parents are still.
So
with
I bet
me.
that's kind of cool that both of your parents actually
Get to see this.
I also have to chime in. I mean, you're leaving out the pretty kick-ass once-in-a-lifetime trip we're taking later this year.
Oh, yeah.
dude.
Well, so I don't know
about to
how much
ask that.
time you have left, but
Yeah,
I
go
got
ahead,
two things.
dude. Yeah.
So we mentioned my long-lost brothers. I think this
Oh,
is a really
yeah,
cool
yeah,
story.
yeah.
So I want to shout out to Matt and Joe.
Fear.
So when I was like 16, I met one brother. My dad had been married once before he met my mom. He was a long haul truck driver, and they got divorced.
There you go.
And so she, just kind of, it was like the 80s.
Yeah,
You know what
dude.
It was like,
look, if you're a long haul truck driver, two things like trucker speed and prostitution.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
Hey, well, we won't comment on any of that, but shout out, Dad.
Holler.
So he was married to this woman. They got divorced. She left with the kid and kind of like evaded custody rights. And my dad knew as a truck driver, like, what was he going to do fight for custody rights and then leave
Right.
the kid at home while he
Sure,
traveled across
yeah.
the country. Like what?
I'm gonna fight for you and then go on the road.
And so he just kind of let it go. So when I was 16, after 24 years of my dad not knowing where his son was, he found him.
Oh, okay.
He had been living in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where they went.
Right. There's a great truck stop there.
Yeah. His mom had passed away.
Okay.
My dad reached out to him. The next day after he got a letter back, my dad hopped on his Harley and rode from Connecticut straight to Louisville to like meet his son for the first time. And then shortly after that, I got to meet him. Going up to Connecticut next month to see him get married.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a little bit older than me. He's like in his early 40s. He's, got a new baby with his fiance along with her 2 kids that she had before. Shout out to my nieces and nephews. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But then, that one's less crazy. Like we knew about him the whole time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when I think I probably had a couple years sober at this point. I was talking to my dad one morning.
Post-cancer?
Pre-cancer.
Okay.
Well, I had cancer, but I didn't know about it yet. This was pretty
got
soon,
you.
like
That
right
cancer
before
was
I
pretty mid.
right before I
Cancer was
got
mid.
diagnosed. My dad and I were talking early in the morning. We're both early risers, so we'll chat on the phone a lot early in the morning. And he's like, "Hey, I got something crazy to tell you." And here's the thing: like, my dad's a tattoo artist. He's a biker.
Oh, right.
Like, there's my family,
Long
is
haul
like,
trucker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like not normal,
Right,
right?
sure.
It's
Not Norman
normal.
Rockwell.
Yeah, and so my dad, he's like, so if he says something's crazy, it's something crazy, you know.
Right.
And he's like, you have another brother. I was like,
Right.
What? Like, what do you mean?
Your dad's balls were working
like-
overtime.
He got a girl pregnant when he was 19.
Okay.
And he knew that she had gotten pregnant, but her
That
parents.
was back in the day when you just pieced out.
Yeah, well, her parents like shipped her off to live with her aunt and uncle in California.
Right. Yeah.
And told my dad to like never contact her again, and that she was gonna like have an abortion and,
Right.
and all this
Yeah.
stuff. And she actually carried my brother to term and gave him up for adoption.
Right.
At
Oh,
birth.
wow.
Yeah.
And so, like 50, Joe's in his 50s, right?
Mm-hmm.
He did 23andMe and got contacted with my cousin, who put him in contact with my dad. And so, a few years back, me and my brother Matt and my mom and dad flew to Seattle to meet my like long lost brother that I never knew existed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And like, what a trip, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so weird. Like, because you think so much of the stuff is like you learn behaviors from your parents,
Right.
But like, we're all the same guy. We're like half brothers, and it's like maybe not so much in the looks, but the way we talk and the mannerisms. And how
Right.
It's so
It's genetic.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird.
Did any of them have issues with substance use?
Not really.
No?
Not like I did anyway.
Right.
They were definitely like wild. My older brother was Joe was in the military. Shout out military.
Shout out military. Hey, Jamie, pull up military.
Right.
And yeah, no, not like me anyway. Not like
Gotcha.
me. But like I said, we're all a little bit rough around the edges. It's
Right.
kinda
Well, it
part
sounds
of
like
the-
your dad definitely, dabbled.
Yeah. So did I mean,
Hang on, you got to tell the coolest part of that story. I hope you're getting there.
what about the
about your
treatment
brother
center?
being the CO?
Yeah. So my brother's a corrections officer at a
Hell
jail,
yeah.
at a jail in Seattle.
Okay.
And
Shout out jail in Seattle.
Shout out jail in Seattle. And so like I'm if Joe, if you listen to this, I'm sorry if this hurts your feelings in any way, but you have to understand like where I come from. You're the fucking law,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, fuck 12, dude.
dude.
And so, like, he's a great guy, and I love him. And nothing against. But when I first met him, I'm kind of like, what's up with this dude? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like he's like retired military. He's a corrections officer.
Right.
Like, and obviously I get to know him, and he's
Narc.
great.
Right,
But,
yeah.
But so over this past Christmas, we're all in Connecticut with my parents. And we're sitting around this like the living room, and he's like, "Hey, man, I got a question for you." He's like, I like work in this jail, and it's a jail where people are awaiting trial who have violated probation, almost
Yeah.
specifically.
Right.
So it's like just people. It's the same people over and over again,
Right.
and they're there for drug charges for like failing drug tests, and they're like going back to either, getting more probation time, or they're going to a program, or they're going to the penitentiary,
Right.
something. And he's like, and I see these people over and over again. And he's like, I've applied for grants for these books to get them like AA and NA books. I've applied, I've gotten all this money to help them like make sure their insurance is good so they can go to treatment if they get sent to treatment as part of their thing. Like, so he's like doing all this really good work. And so I'm like, all right, man, like maybe you're not the law,
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I'm hearing this stuff. And at this point, guys, I already know that, like, I already love this dude a bunch at this point. But I'm really starting to see that, like, he's got a real heart for, like, people like
Yeah,
me,
he actually gives a shit.
And it's not just because of me, right? Because we didn't know each other. Like, we didn't grow up together. He, like, really gives a shit. And so he's like, if you could help these people, like, what would you do? Like, if you had the power, if you had the money, like, how would you do it? And so I kind of like, dude, well, you send people to bring meetings into these jails, and people don't show up for the meetings, and they don't really care, right? They're there for an hour, they just go. And I was like, well, if you were the boss, I was like, I'd let them come in for 2 hours before and stay an hour after the meeting and like sponsor dudes in the jail and like let them hang out. Like, let's get them clearances. Like, let's get them in there, in the day room, hanging out with these guys.
Give him some incentive to.
And he goes, yeah, I think we can make something like that happen. He goes, he's like, do you know anybody that would be interested in doing that?
Right.
And so, like, of the 12-step fellowship that I'm a member, for traditions purposes, I won't identify.
You'll keep your anonymity, right?
For sure. But I do a lot of stuff on the World Service level. I serve on all these committees and boards, and I've become close with these guys in Seattle. And I'm like, actually, I got a bunch of guys that I know that would like love to get up in there.
Right.
So they're in the process now of
To be in prison.
to
in
like
Seattle.
to like get
Shut up,
to
prisoner.
get
Shut up.
guys that I know that
Yeah.
are my friends in Seattle to like go and carry a message into the jail where my brother's a corrections officer.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that's a great idea that you incentivize recovery. I mean, in jail, and it's funny just being around that and how much residual benefits you reap from being around.
Absolutely.
That. Yeah.
And I remember, dude, there's been so many times when like everything was bad, when I was like in the shit, right? And you're like, why is my life like this? You know what I mean? And I could see this moment that happened when we're all sitting having this conversation about getting these meetings into my brother's jail, where like everybody, including my parents, are looking around, and like everything made sense. Right. Like all the bad shit I've gone through, like my dad.
Now it all makes
like,
sense.
It all
Yeah.
makes sense. Like all like this.
Well,
this,
Chad always has a line he says about that.
What?
Why? No, about how you went through all this experience so you could.
Oh, well, dude, if I went through all the shit I went through to not try and pass it on to the next guy, I don't know what the fuck the point was.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Eating Bluebell and
Eating-
Rice
yeah,
Krispies
yeah.
and Slim Jims.
Yeah, man. What's the point in shooting up beer if you're not going to try and help somebody not do that later? You know what I mean?
All right.
Shout out God.
Shout
Shout
out
out God.
Shout out God, right?
Hey, Jamie,
Like-
pull up God.
Pull up omniscient.
He's already here.
Right. Exactly.
he's all around us.
Right.
Yeah, man. I mean, that like the cool thing about this is that's like when I become open to the idea of this presence, of this power in my life, right? And I accept that this is the thing that's going to keep me here.
Right.
I just start to notice all these things.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like, and I think they probably were happening all the time, but like when I get tuned into the rhythm of the universe, I get to see all these really, really beautiful things happen.
Yeah.
And like, all I have to do is just show up for it.
Right.
I keep showing
Jamie,
up.
pull up BPM of the universe.
Hit the sync button.
Right.
Sync us,
Yeah,
Jamie,
right.
sync us up. Sync us up
Right.
with the universe.
Jamie, filter low to high.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just been really cool. We were going to talk. There was one other thing that you asked me about, and then I stopped to talk
trip.
about my long lost
What's
brothers.
up with the trip?
We're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Europe.
Yeah, shout out Europe.
Yeah, me,
Jamie, pull up Europe.
Yeah,
Jamie, pull up Europe during 1941 to 1945.
So my mom and me and Mike are going to Europe for like a month.
Oh, that's cool, man.
June 20. I'm going to be there June 20.
Right.
June 22nd to July 15th.
Hell yeah.
All right.
And the fellowship that I'm a member of is having their world convention.
Oh, that's
in
cool.
Amsterdam.
So you
And
get
hell yeah. Hey, dude, that's some shit that like I'm not even the
I would
slightest bit worried about
Sure.
like relapsing in Amsterdam.
yeah.
Like I'm just free, you know.
I want to go start a sexual addiction.
Hey,
right.
whoa,
Just
hey,
to
yo.
Come back as part of 2 fellowships.
Right.
Hell yeah.
But well, I feel like Howard Stern. Well, you've done it all.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. A few things here and there.
Yeah. But man, that's amazing. And you know, I guess if anybody you know, I guess wants to reach out to you personally, they can hit you up on Instagram or
Hell
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instagram, Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Cool.
let's put his
LinkedIn.
name on there real quick.
What's
man.
that?
Hey, man, his name's Andrew Carter, man.
Yeah.
He's
There you
bro-
go.
He's a brother in recovery, man.
Well, we
And then,
appreciate
hey, man,
you.
if you want to
We
reach out to
appreciate-
Mike Munzell, hey, man, we're going to put Mike Munzell's stuff up there. He's a former fun guy in quotation marks because he was a fun guy last time.
I love how I've never heard that word more often than being in recovery. Hey, brother. Hey, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, brother.
Right?
So
funny.
for me, being dude, I can't fucking stand it when I hear the word. For me, dude, I never noticed people said it when in like everyday situations until I started going to a bunch of meetings. Dude. It just makes me want to laugh every time, dude.
That's funny.
So for me, in my experience, it's like shut the fuck up, dude.
Well, we do appreciate you coming
Hell yeah.
on. And then who do we have coming up next week, Chad?
We got my buddy Garrett, dude.
Oh, okay.
He's got enough fucking metal in his face to set the TSA on fire.
There we go. There we go. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for
I
having me.
appreciate
Absolutely.
you sitting in, dude. Yeah, you're always welcome. Especially,
It's always fun to be
I want
here.
to, you know, have a new grill each time you come on.
Oh yeah, shout out.
My
Shout
boy.
out.
Are you gonna pay for it?
Right.
Are you gonna pay for him?
Right? I'll buy you a set of plastic vampire teeth.
Hey,
Just every time, it's just something different in the grill. Yeah, dude.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming out. Be sure, like,
Jamie, thanks for pulling all that stuff up. too.
Right. Thanks for pulling up the
shout out,
universe.
Jamie. Jamie, pull up, Jamie.
Jamie, pull up Alexa. Alexa, pull up Jamie. Jamie, I want you to fart for Alexa, please.
Sobriety fucks.
Sobriety fucks, dude.
Sobriety fucks.
Anyway, but
Sobriety freaks,
appreciate y'all tuning in. Be sure and subscribe, like, all that stuff. And remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.
All right.
Just kidding.
Activate.